topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Are you ready to take a journey? Let's connect with the healers of the world. It's that time. It's time for the Language of Healing on W4WN Radio and Talk4 TV. Now here's your host, Dr. Nicole Fortin.
Hello world, welcome to another episode of the Language of Healing on W4WN.com. Tuesdays, 2 p.m. Catch us live or catch the replay. Happy to have you here. We're going to have a great episode today. Oh, wow. It's like there's a lot going on today. I've got quite a story to share with you. We've got full-on winter here in Calgary. It's way too early. Not impressed, but it really, weather and events really bring people together. And that's, a wholesome story that we can carry and like something to live by as we enter into the holiday season and the busy season, because things are crazy. I don't know about you. Maybe you notice that, this time of year, maybe specifically, things happen fast. There's a lot going on and lots of routine and schedules. And maybe you've realized that the end of the year is almost here. And oh my gosh, what have I done? What haven't I done? Maybe it's didn't look the way that you thought it would look. So we're really rolling with the punches here and just flowing with life as it comes to us. And that's real key to health and healing, is to meet the day wherever you're at to the best of your abilities with more wise responses, less emotional reaction, and that will prove to be some kind of freedom for you as you're moving through the days, no matter what's in front of you. And so today we have a very special guest. I'm very excited to get into this conversation around movies and healing through movies, because these movies are like the unsung heroes and the therapies that help us get through some things. Maybe it's like a comfort zone. I'm going to pose this question to the guests that we're going to bring on, and also to you as the listeners, is, what's a movie, or what is something that you could watch over and over and over again and see 1,000 times and still keep watching? And what does that bring to you? What emotions and what comfort does that bring to you? And let's explore that a little bit. First, let's bring on our co-host, the amazing pipe man, Dean Piper, from his studio. Hello.
So I've been doing this the whole time backstage to try to get you to break character.
Yeah.
And laugh. So the whole time you were talking, I was going like this and like this. And
so I got to ask you, is this a sloth on your shirt? Because I love sloths.
I don't know if it's a sloth.
Owl?
I think it's a monkey.
Oh,
it is Costa Rican.
Sunglasses.
It is Costa Rican, but yeah. So
okay.
The monkey's wearing my sunglasses because he stole them. Okay, because if you've ever been to a place where they have monkeys, they love to steal your sunglasses right off your head. And then they will negotiate with you for food, but not just any food, the food they want. So if you give them something they don't like, they just throw it in the bushes, and they keep your sunglasses. They're worse than the mafia. I just have to say. And then if you try to get close to them and take them, they will show you why you do not want to mess with them, because their teeth are pretty big, and they will show them to you to let you know, nope, you're only getting your sunglasses one way, and that's it.
Bananas. Give me bananas.
No, they don't even really dig bananas that much. That's fake news.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of like how Trump gives all his followers bananas. It's fake news. So And
I thought that was French fries or something.
No, they want the good stuff, man. It's like, why is everybody always giving us bananas all the time?
Huh.
You
Yeah.
know,
Do you know how a monkey opens a banana, eats a banana?
Yes, by the opposite way that we do, because we're idiots. We like to take the hard way. Okay. So they do the smart, easy way, which is the bottom, where it just comes right apart,
Yeah.
opposed to sitting there and like going like this. And it's like, and then you squish the banana and you get all frustrated. And then you end up opening it from the middle instead. That's what, well, that's what Americans do. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
Yeah. Like it is easier because then you have a handle there, But
Yeah.
we have a comment, okay? So this is a stereotype. Monkeys nowadays want your phone and money. I know.
Where is that comment? It should be on the screen.
Yeah, where's that comment?
Yeah, well,
that's
listen.
Studio access.
Is it that monkeys? Is it that monkeys? Okay, is it that monkeys are that way, or did they learn it from the humans?
Well, yeah, I think they understand what's valuable today in today's world. Why don't we bring on our guest and see what he has to say about it?
As soon as he puts his headphones on, okay, he just put his headphones on. We can bring him on. See, I was looking at him backstage, so he couldn't do this and throw me off character because I would just call him out for it. Hello.
Well, we don't want that to happen.
Hello, Brian Sebastian, the most prolific, amazing movie reviews and more show host on this network.
Hey, the good thing about this, and I tell a lot of people about this, and I apologize for any back noise. I don't control that. I'm in North Hollywood at Groundworks Coffee, and I like coming here because I can work outside when I get a chance to meet with people. So I will meet when I'm not talking, so you don't hear that idiotic background noise.
I think you should rant and grab, because I would grab random people, come in a coffee shop, and bring them on the show.
You got to remember, a lot of people have mental health problems these days, so I wouldn't subject them to this network because I like this network. And I want to keep it going the way that we possibly can. But I have to say this. I'm honored to be on this network because it's fun. And I tell Eileen Shapiro and Jimmy Starr, thank you for introducing me to Dean because it has helped increase what we're doing a long way. And that's one reason why I never want to do any tape shows. I always want to have them live because I like what Dean has created. When he started this, I don't think people realized what this was going to be like. And I like the format, and people are always wanting to pull me someplace else. And I said, no, I like my engineer. I like what he's done. I like some of the other people on the shows. And that's what I have to say to that. So I have to say thank you to that first.
And Jimmy, okay, so is a rare anomaly that in this whole industry that he has had the same show, the same day, the same time slot on this network since almost the beginning. It's like almost the beginning. I mean, he's been on the network so long that he had blonde hair when he came on.
That's funny. I like that.
Yeah. And so, I mean, and the fact of the matter is that, I think you should you could grab people, not really grab them. I don't mean literally, but say, hey, what's your movie that heals you? And do that live on the show here.
Well, I will. If I find someone interesting, I definitely will. There's a couple cops over there. I would definitely ask them because I would be curious myself.
So they're hanging at the coffee shop. Do they have donuts there? Are there donuts there?
No, they're bagels.
So I was just in LA, okay? And I just got back on the red eye yesterday on the red eye. And this old donut shop that's in Agora that like us teenagers used to hang out in. We were talking about it because of the reason I was there and stuff. And me and my best bro used to go there all the time. And the cops would come in there and they would kick us out when we were teenagers. They literally say, you have to get out because this is our hangout. You can't hang here. It was word for word what they used to say to us. So, yeah.
That's funny. Have you heard the joke? Have you heard the joke about the donuts and the cop?
I don't know. What joke is it?
Okay. So the joke is, so you get pulled over and the cop comes up to you and he says, oh, your eyes look glazed. Have you been smoking dope? And then it's like, well, officer, your eyes look glazed. Have you been eating donuts?
But
The first thing is, I don't want to get stopped. I'm half black, first of all. There is no going back for me. And Dean knows, maybe when all the stuff was going on, you don't want to get stopped by a cop.
Listen, back in those days, one of my best friends, he was Lee Lacey's stepson, Michael Mitchell. He actually used to be an engineer on this station. You see him in a dark alley, okay, and you would run the other way, okay, because he was scary looking back then, okay, but we were all scary looking, but he was extra scary because he was super dark, okay, but he was like the nicest, coolest guy that I don't think he knew he was black, to be honest, because he grew up with this famous baseball player. He lived in this house in Calabasas that his schmucky stepfather used to go away to play. He played on the Pirates and the Orioles and leave him home alone. Can you imagine those high school parties we had? Okay. The Kardashians didn't even live in Calabasas yet. This was the shit. Okay. But I can tell you, I do want to express, because there needs to be some healing in this world, healing in this country, that still to this day, I can't believe happens, because we were at the Denny's that no longer exists in Agoura, but we were at the Denny's and we got harassed by the cops. And the cops let me and my other white friends go and did not let him go. And this is somebody that basically was not a dirtbag, was not somebody that was a gangbanger, was not a drug dealer. He was a good dude. And they took him out in the middle of the canyon there on Canaan Road, and they were trying to get him to hit them so they would be able to legally beat the piss out of him. And they said, it was funny because we said, I remember me specifically saying, no, we'll wait for him. They're telling us to get out of there. No, we'll wait for him. No, you won't. You'll go to jail. Leave now. So, of course, we left. But, yeah, that impacted my life from then on, because it's like you don't know what other people deal with and walk with every day in their life. And we had another scenario, me and the same dude, when I was going back to New Jersey, not that long later, and we were driving cross country, and we were in El Paso, Texas. And I say this because places I'm mentioning, it would still happen today, is the unfortunate part. And we're sitting at the...
Absolutely.
Yeah. At the phone booth. We're sitting at the phone booth because we didn't have cell phones then. I had to call somebody or whatever. And I was looking around, and I said to Michael, I'm like, we got to go. He didn't know why. I'm like, let's just go. And there were people coming towards us with not friendly intentions. And it wasn't because of me. Now, I want to flip the coin on that. For all those people out there that are assholes, I'll be blunt, and talk about certain things and make it like both ways. We then went on our trip to another part of Texas where his grandparents had this huge farm, and there wasn't a white person for probably a couple 100 miles. And he brings me there. And these people that were his family and people around town stuff, they treated me like I was part of the family. And so, like, people in the world, we need to stop and just all love each other and unite each other, and stop letting all these politicians divide us and make us different. People are different, not because of their skin color, just because they're different. So I feel for you, Brian, because yes, you can just approach people where you are right now, like I could, and say, hey, come be on my radio show. I could probably do it and you wouldn't get away with it.
Well, the other thing about it is that, just being in Southern California, things have changed. It saddens me when I come back here. It's not the California that I've known 33 years ago.
Yeah.
I almost want to cry from that, because it's not. There's so many mental problems. More people have moved to your state. More people have moved to Texas, North Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia, Nashville, Tennessee, Nevada. This is the least amount of people that have ever been in the state of Los Angeles, ever.
Yet you still can't get anywhere on the 405. What's up with that?
Less traffic. I can tell you, I was down in Wilshire, there was nothing.
California has the population of Canada.
Really?
So, yeah.
Well, what's up with you people then?
Yeah, but Canada's got more happier people that I've seen lately across country.
Well, that's true, and it's true of most climates that are that bitterly cold for some reason. I don't know,
Yeah, you got to come together.
But the thing is more my point is how come your country is not like ruining every beautiful part of it and putting up a bunch of concrete that no one can afford? So you still have the concrete up there, and they're living out on the streets. But yet in your country, you have a lot of open space, a lot of beauty. How come you haven't ruined your country yet?
Well, yet. You know, I don't know. Maybe it is like it's not an ideal place if people want to immigrate or you know move into a place like. I mean, the thing with Canada is, you know, I feel like we're all immigrants here because we kind of moved, like we all have ancestors from another area and we've come, and you know, there's a certain robustness that you need. So it's not like your nice you know, weathered area. It's not like ideal living, but I don't know why.
Maybe it is ideal living, or else people wouldn't live there, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think
ideal compared to what? We're all immigrants over here in the United States too. Okay.
Yeah.
I think the only one here in this whole show that's not an immigrant is probably Juan, because we stole Texas from Mexico anyway.
Yeah. I mean,
well,
exactly.
But I'm more Indian, Pequot Indian from Connecticut. So our family started the first casino. Now, I never took any of that money because I was going to California. But if I did stay in Connecticut, I would have had $55,000 a year. I would have had a free house. But that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to radio. So I skipped all of that stuff. But I'm really Indian.
So is there a movie? Is there a movie that made you do that, to make this decision to come into this realm?
Good question.
No, it wasn't a movie. I was in the Market 36, and you know, coming from New York, and I was in Connecticut. I didn't want to be on the East Coast. I did everything. I saw it, went to every museum, every tourist thing. I didn't want to move to Florida. I knew they're going to have natural disasters. That I didn't want to go to New York. I knew they're going to have that. I wanted to go to California because I was a drum and bugle cornet. I still love the world of the drum and bugle corps and watching those kids in those marching bands and drum corps. And then I wanted to be in Northern California at Walnut, being up at close to Santa Clara Vanguard. When I moved to UCLA, the first thing I said, why does everybody got a BMW? Who's buying all these BMWs for kids? I could barely afford where I was. And then I ended up working at Power 106 with Jay Thomas, if you remember him. And then I ended up working at The Wave at the same time. So I said, I guess I'm stuck in Los Angeles. That wasn't my thing. And then I worked in the video stores on Tower Video. Remember Tower Video?
Yeah,
that's where I worked.
Tower Video.
Yeah, those were the days where everybody would come in. So I started watching movies. That's what led to me doing everything.
Thanks for giving me PTSD trauma, because I had a collapsed lung coming out of that Tower Records in Westwood. And almost died. So thank you for reminding me of that, Brian.
Yeah, but the thing about that, look where you are now. Well, I put a Blockbuster out of business.
Yeah,
really?
I lasted longer than that Tower Records. I'll teach Tower Records for screwing with me.
No, I put a Blockbuster out of business. We did a thing called Quarter Days. It was Extravaganza Video. I was the assistant manager, and I was learning marketing at that point. So in Southern California, we had 16 feature films, cinemas around there, just around the Westwood area, Westwood, Brentwood, Dean, if you remember. And then going around. I
drove around there every day, scouting for women, sitting on the, on the convertible. I had a Fiat Spider 2000 convertible, and I would sit on like where the on the top of the seat or on the windowsill, and used to cruise down Sunset Boulevard through UCLA and Westwood there, and yeah,
Nicole, when they had beautiful women here.
Yes,
now
they didn't look so
none of them did.
Yeah, they didn't look so plastic as they do now. Yeah, it was, but yeah, I mean,
those were the days.
Those were the days.
But that's how I started doing that, from video stores.
Did you know that there still is one Blockbuster left in the world? I think it's in Canada. They're so behind the times.
It's in Alaska.
I thought it was.
It's in Alaska.
Yeah. Okay. I thought like Oregon or something.
Well,
there's a movie about that.
It's just,
right?
Well, it might as well. I think Sarah Palin thinks Canada and Alaska are the same thing.
Because she can see it from her house.
I remember. Right. I remember when Alaska was up for grabs, and it was like I think they polled Alaskans, like, which would you rather be part of, U.S. or Canada? Or maybe we didn't have the money.
You guys were too slow.
Buy them or something.
And you didn't have Hollywood. So you lost.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, I mean, what do we got? Like the oil patch that they're like slowly disintegrating, or trees and natural. We got lots of natural resources.
Okay, so Nicole, what movie is it for you that has been the most healing movie in your lifetime, that is something that changed your life?
Yeah, I just think there's so many different categories. It's like what aspect of my life, there's some that I love. I'm the kind of person that really loves comedy, like a true Canadian. I love Mike Myers. Hey, like almost anything.
Wait a minute. There's a big difference between Mike Myers and Michael Myers. So it sounds to me like there's like a little maybe schizophrenia going on there. You meant Mike Myers, and the Michael Myers in you, so it made you say Michael Myers.
Yeah. So is Michael Myers the
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, not that one.
Because
that's another movie I wouldn't have made it to, because they killed all the black people first.
Oh, God. That's brutal. This is the thing.
That's terrible.
Yeah. Well,
they did.
Yeah, it's like everyone's wearing a red shirt.
Do you think that was planned, Brian? Do you think like the writers like literally did that on purpose in those times?
Yes, because they were lucky to get a role. Now look what they've done. You've got Jordan Peele and all these people doing all of these black horror films of color, and they're making money. So the flip has been scripted. So now you see Asian, Japanese, Chinese, black, white.
Wait. Asian and Japanese isn't Japan in Asia?
True, my mistake. Because I have to practice Buddhism. So yes. I was getting excited there for a minute. But now you have the rainbow colors in there. And so everybody, even now when I'm out here, everybody's going to, I can't stand watching horror films. I can't be subjected to that anymore. I have to watch it during the day, because I don't want any of those entities to jump onto me, because I worked hard to stay kind of clean.
Hey, ever since all the people from California and New York moved to Florida, I don't go to horror films, because I just walk outside and I have my own horror film.
You do. And you got more coming. More people are coming. So you guys should be concerned.
Well, I think I'm escaping.
Come up north.
I think I'm going as far north as Mars, because I couldn't get further away from the idiots in this state. Okay, I can tell you what. But see, I live on an island, so I'm like separated. Like I look over onto the mainland, I'm like, yeah, all you idiots can stay over there. Okay, except when they do their parades down the intercoastal right by my window, and and they have parades with big flags that say Trump 2020. Not even 2024, because they still think he's going to be installed back in as of 2020. Just saying.
So I have to say, we're kind of responsible for getting him elected in a way, because television critics, TCA, every time we'd interview him for The Apprentice, he would joke that he was going to be running for president. And we would always say, no, that's not going to happen. But when you go back and watch the documentary, Cindy Adams, Roger Stone, what's the guy, the attorney that fixed it, not Michael Cohen, but the other guy, there's a great documentary of him actually saying back in the early 80s he was actually going to run. It was always a goal of his.
Well, when I was in the financial business and ran in his circles, okay, which is why I'd never vote for him. Forget the politics for a second. Like, he's just a douchebag, okay, just in general, okay? But he used to say that, he said then on, what was it? Oh, fuck, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank. The not Phil. It was a talk show.
Phil Donahue?
Yes. On the Phil Donahue show, he said, if I ever ran for president, I'd run as a Republican because they're idiots and they'll vote for me. Quote unquote, that's what he said. He's been a lifelong Democrat. He was a huge supporter of the Clintons. They were best friends. Their kids are best friends. It's all a sham, okay? Because he ran for president. Most of the people that vote for him don't know he ran for president in 2000, tried to be like Ross Perot and ran in the Reform Party, not successfully. So he realized, well, that wasn't a good move. I'll just go back to my original idea and I'll go for the idiots, the Republicans. And, you know, and I don't think Republicans are idiots because I've been a Republican most of my life till I changed to independent when they started becoming idiots. Okay. You know,
well, you were also from New York, so you weren't fooled back then. You knew.
Right. Exactly. And so, and who would trust a New York commercial real estate developer in a million years anyway? Like, it would never happen. But just saying, what I think is interesting is, you know, all these movies and TV shows are making now having to do with presidential stuff. And I almost think like some of it, I think movies become real life. I don't know which comes first. I think
which comes first.
You know, which
the
comes first.
The movies come first. Think of James Bond. Think of Star Trek. Gene Roddenberry, when all the stuff was channeled to him, look what we're doing now. A phaser is really a phone. You know, well, having Nicole Nichols in there is what we were doing.
Flip phone. Okay, that was in Star Trek. Now it's obsolete. Yeah. Okay, and think about
me up, Scotty.
Yeah, and there's so many things. What we're doing right this second was like in Star Trek. I'm like
man, that future.
I'm like, man, that would be cool to have a video call. They used to have the video calls on Star Trek. I'm like, wouldn't that be cool if we could do that? Now that we have it, I'm like, yeah, I wish we didn't have it.
Yeah, but who says we can't do it?
Right.
That's the real question. Because I had an AI thing scooter that I was riding on 5 years ago that Segway gave me, that talked to me, that followed me. I actually have the video of that still. I still have a little piece of it.
That sounds like a horror movie to me, if you ask me.
Well, some people were scared.
Amityville.
Some people were scared because it talked to you.
Yeah. If a house tells you get out, get out. So I got scared. The first time I got scared in Florida, we were having a hurricane. There was an evacuation order. I always wait to the last minute, because sometimes they evacuate you and then you don't have to go. So I wait till I absolutely have to go. I will never put first responders at risk. So as soon as my condo said, this is your last chance, evacuate the island. If you do not leave now, the island is closed. You won't be able to leave and nobody can come rescue you. At that point, you leave. So the Amityville Horror. You know, when I first moved to New Jersey, my ex-wife, Thing One, she was from Florida, okay? And we moved to New Jersey, and she wanted me to take her to the Amityville house, you know, because people watch movies and they think it's like kind of cool and stuff. And I'm like, I'll tell you where it is. If you want to go there, have a good time. Any house I can tell you, get out. I'm not going there, okay? So again, the real life of it, which comes first? The Amityville Horror House did come first before the movie, but in the part you're talking about and other things I've seen, like when it comes to technology, the movie definitely comes first. And I wonder sometimes, I'm like, so do people watch these movies and go, I have to figure a way to do that? So let's talk about healing. So how many people are becoming serial killers because they're watching all these true crime movies? Think about it.
You know what I heard? Well, Brian, maybe you have something to share about that.
Well, you talk, Nicole.
My issue with that is there's too many of those things, like the Menendez brothers, that the series that's got 18 million viewers last week and watching. I don't need to watch it. I was here when that happened. I wasn't interested in that.
I watched it. I
know it's good, but I don't want to watch it. But I know I'm going to watch it next week when I'm in Georgia.
But here's a perfect example. Is there healing or not healing? Let's answer the question on that. I'm glad you brought that one up. And I want to know what you think up there in Canada. Because I'm thinking, so the reason this is happening with these new Menendez brothers series is because they have, for the first time in their incarceration, been put back together. And there is talk of them getting released. And do either one of you know what has caused this to happen? And it does have to do with what we're talking about.
I blame a little bit on Kim Kardashian because that's her new baby now, getting people who wrongly accused supposedly going that way. But also there's the audience watching all of these things. I'm not interested in watching Dateline and all these things. I'm not interested in it, but I do like the documentaries. That would be my healing genre.
What do you think, Nicole?
Oh, well, why they're getting released. I mean, so much time has passed that sometimes people forget, or a new generation comes in, and we have a lot of, I mean, there are highly likely a lot of incarcerated people that probably shouldn't be there. I mean, for multiple reasons, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's
I'm not
definitely the case.
Yeah, like I wouldn't be an expert on that, but I think people like those kinds of stories because in a way it's like it solves a puzzle. There's like, I don't know, it brings in a way it brings some kind of peace to know that, oh, someone is like caught or done this, and I think, I don't know, I would love to think that the world would be like whole and healthy and respectful, and like that's a world that I would love to live in. Is it always the case? I don't know if people can be, and I think like jail is in some ways a school for criminals. Like it's not necessarily rehab. So to let someone free after years of that and like growing up with that, I don't know. I'm not the expert.
Here's what's happened. Here's what's happened is there's all these people filming of the younger generations, filming TikToks of that the Menendez brothers were abused and they should have never been sentenced. These are people that have never been alive when it happened. They don't know what kind of brutal murder it was. They don't know anything about it. All they know is they live in a generation now where the whole movie industry, it's happening. We just had Diddy, and then there's now talk of J-Lo, and they just had something this morning on the news about Harvey Weinstein, and so
that's cancer.
Yep. And basically these new generations are feeling bad for some of the monsters of past because of the monsters those people had to deal with. Because these new generations, they think that basically people should be let off the hook if they were abused or what have you. And I think a lot of movies show that too. How many times do movies show, where even in the documentaries, it almost glorifies it. You watch these documentaries and it glorifies.
Like the Dahmer thing. Or even like, for example, I remember, what is it? Maleficent? It was like, or Wicked, it's like you have these tales like Snow White or whatever. And it's like, you get to see the villain's side of the story. So I believe that everybody has a story, but we still have a choice whether and to harm someone else or really to endanger someone else, I think is like crossing a line. Because I don't know. I just think like proper rehabilitation and a lot of love. And like one thing that I know is that healing journey is not linear. It's not a uniform journey. It looks different for everybody. And, sometimes you have to go into the depths of hell to see some kind of light. And I hope that happens for these people, but it's hard when you've done that. You could do it. I don't know if that makes sense.
So Brian, is there a movie for you that you think was a healing movie for you, and why?
It's not that. What it was, the movie that kicked me off, if you remember this, The Mad World, with Milton Berle,
Yep.
Mickey Rooney, all of
I
that.
worked for Milton Berle, by the way.
Well, it was because of Milton. When I met him years ago, he brought me into the Friars Club, the Beverly Hills Friars Club. Him and Tommy Butch Bond, the original Butch from Little Rascals. Remember him?
Yep.
They didn't have any people. They needed memberships. I was the third minority to be brought in behind Fred Williamson from who played football and a real estate guy. And it became from that. And then when it comes to the healing part of stuff, Nicole, it's more like whenever I was going through something, I went to go to the movies because I might not have been able to afford something for 2 hours. I calmed my body down. I was able to see something that gave me inspiration. And then, I don't know which channel threw me when I'm at the movie theaters, but when I walk out, I came up with a system called the 4 E's. Any good movie, any good CD, any good book should be educational, entertaining, emotional, exciting. And if it's really bad, I just call it empty and not to be negative, because there's a lot of people that will just say bad things about stuff. So I never wanted to go that way. And then so when it comes to that, you mentioned Lord of the Rings. I was there to do those interviews for that. So it was great to see that, because I'm not that actor. Never wanted to be. Never wanted to be that director. My job till then, going back to the late 80s to right now, is still to help promote shows, individuals, inventors, artists, small businesses, those movies that people aren't promoting, that aren't in the theaters, that need help getting distribution. That's my job. And I love to do that because no one else wants to do that. It's really sad.
That's terrible. Yeah, well, because people want, I think it's true of all life, right, Nicole? I mean, like, people they want to give the grease to what doesn't need the grease.
Well, here's one other thing really quickly. The reason I've never been around Diddy, I met the guy for 60 seconds and I didn't care. I've never been to the NAACP Awards. I've never been to the Image Awards. I've never been to the BET Awards. And the reason why I never went to the end of that stuff, because there was a lady, if you remember the movie Titanic came out, she handled publicity for the Titanic, which went gangbusters, made $1 billion. So it's the top 3 movies of all time. She did another movie called The Wood, short for Inglewood. And these are the days when the publicists would call you up on the phone, because they didn't have they were just starting email then. And I would call her. I didn't get invited to this. And she goes, "I'm sorry, Brian, I can't invite you. You're not a black outlet." And I said, I looked at my hand like this with the phone. And I said, "But I still want to cover the movie. Omar Epps is a friend. I still want to promote the movie." She says, "I'm Brian. I'm sorry, Brian," and hung up on the phone on me. And I never forgot that. So I said, "Oh, I'm a black outlet? Then I will never go to a black event." Till this day, I have never covered those awards because I didn't want to be called a black event or have someone define me. So going back to the movies, when all of this stuff, that's why I champion those movies around the country and around the world, letting those people come on our show because they need a platform. And I tell them the reason why Talk 4 Media, K4HD, Talk 4 TV is good because it's got an outlet that these other people do not have.
Don't forget W4WN, because that's what we're on right now.
Well, that one, but I'm not on that one. So we have to include that too, because it's out of Florida.
And you know what? Why is it we're on Women's Network with 2 guys and 1 girl?
Well, here's the thing. I started on a women's network, Worldwide TV Network, which is called the Women's Broadcasting TV Channel with Shay Vaughn. She wanted me on it, and I turned her down 3 times because I didn't think I should have been on it. And that's why I went after women to help promote women, women in TV, women in film and television in Tennessee and Alabama and now Knoxville, because they weren't being promoted, Nicole. That's why I was glad when I saw the show that Dean had you on his show. I'm like, she's got something. She needs to be promoted. It's about healing. If it weren't for my Buddhist practice and all the stuff that I've gone through, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I've never been married. I don't have any kids. My job is to help all those people who are suffering. And I know what it's like not to have these things when I was going through stuff. So now being able to have this outlet like this, my job is to help those people because I know what it's like, what they're going through. And when I see them cross country, they have mental health problems, and I'm going to visit them. I give what little money I have to them because they need it more than I do.
See that, Nicole? You got something.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can be healed, but you got something.
I got something. Is it the gift that keeps on giving?
I don't know. I didn't say it. He said it.
Well, the problem is we're supposed to be helping. We're supposed to be helping
right.
people. We're supposed to be helping small business. This is why Los
Right.
Angeles is doing shit right now.
I
And
agree
that
with
bothers
you.
me.
I agree
Yeah.
with you. That's what I love about Europe sometimes is like it's like the old days. You can go to the local butcher, you go to the local baker, that's getting squashed everywhere in this country nowadays. And I don't know about Canada if it's the same thing
No, it's
where
the same thing. I was having this conversation today, earlier this morning. It's like, the idea of small business is getting progressively squashed. Like more tax, more rules, more, it's like cinch, any kind of freedom. I don't know. That's maybe a little emotional reactional about it because
well, it should
I
be though,
small
because people
business opens
need that.
like yeah, like the small business owners are giving their full heart and soul and spirit and vision and dedication to a practice to serve the people. Like that's a deeply I think that you wouldn't get into small business if you didn't have this vision or this call to do that kind of stuff. And it takes a lot of work, and it's like it's a nonstop thing. And I don't know, Brian, I would just say, like, the way that you advocate for the I don't know, the lesser, not lesser, but the small guy. You root for the
Because I know
small
what it's
guy.
like to be called.
Yeah,
I know what it's like to be called from black woman. You're not really black. You talk too proper. In radio, you were
right.
supposed to learn how to talk. In voiceovers, you had to learn not to be yucky. So they go, why aren't you hitting at me? Well, I'm not going to hit on you like everybody else. I don't do what everybody else does. And then if you're going to define me, oh, are you gay? You're not hitting
Why
on me.
why
Why
are the
aren't you married?
stereotypes why are the stereotypes always the worst of any kind of group? The stereotypes are not based on most of the group or the best of the group. It's always based on the worst of a group, no matter what group that is.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I can tell you why, because it happens to me almost every day. Brian, why aren't you married? First of all, I don't want to be married. I didn't want to be the black guy who has 2.3 kids and divorced 3 times. Why don't you have piercings and why don't you wear jewelry? I'm not a flashy guy. I'm a plain guy. My job is to help elevate everybody else. I didn't want to be famous. I'm not famous. My job is just to help and support. And then, so when it comes to this, I saw all those celebrities, Dean, that being married, running up to Vegas and getting married in 48 hours. That's ridiculous. I thought marriage was supposed to be for the rest of your life. So if I can't be faithful to you,
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
thought
going to
that
get
twice.
married. Well, I didn't want to go through it once. I saw everybody going through it. I didn't want to be that guy.
Well, and I have to say, knowing you a long time now, you do care about people, and the small businesses, and you do dedicate everything you do to that. So even though your show is called Movie Reviews and More, it's so much more. And
Well, what happened from that, though, when I started in video in October of 1993, I knew it had to be something that was going to be something later on. I didn't know what. So I called it Movie Reviews and More. I just knew the more was going to be more, but I didn't know what. That's in October of 1993. Look where we are now. We didn't know this was going to be here unless we were really into Star Trekky fans. And I'm not a Star Trekky fan, and I'm not a Star Wars fan. I'm in the middle. So I'm looking at all these things. What could be? What if? I didn't know I was going to do celebrity interviews. I just wanted to be a radio guy. I had no idea I was going to do all of this stuff. That's why I know what it's like to be underwhelmed.
if you're in the middle, does that mean like you're a Battlestar Galactica guy?
Yeah, I'm a
No,
Battlestar
I
Galactica
hated that
Lee.
too. No,
I
I was the guy that's like, where do I belong? I'm an in-betweener. I don't
That's
belong.
funny.
It's so
when
funny you say that.
weird.
Because there's a Linkin Park song that I 100% relate to all the time, "Somewhere I Belong." Because
Oh, I love
as
that song.
yeah, and it's so me because it's like I grew up in Jersey, I grew up in California, I'm in Florida, and there's like everywhere I've ever lived, there's things I love about where I lived and things I loved about the other places I lived. So there's always that constant feeling of somewhere I belong, because
Mm.
there's not one place that I belong. I wish there was one place on this earth that had all of the things. And that's what's interesting too. Okay, so take movies. what relates to somebody in the Northeast won't relate to somebody in LA, won't relate to somebody in Idaho necessarily. It might, but I think that's a hard job in the movie industry to be able to appeal to the masses with so many different cultures. Even within states, there's multiple cultures,
Yeah,
much
like
less countries.
I'm thinking right now, like being in India. Okay, you know how they have like Bollywood. That's
Yeah.
like their
We have
main
a
Bollywood. But
Bollywood
they
show
have
on the network, by the way.
Oh, I love it. But like Bollywood is just one region of India. Like you
Right.
travel somewhere else. Now you've got Tollywood. Now you've got Rollywood. Now you've got like, they're all different movies, like different I don't know, like a
And
different
people
theme
forget
or
that Bollywood always made more movies than the United States.
yeah. Their stars
Always
are
did
like,
and still do.
yeah, it's
There you go.
amazing. Yeah.
For
There's
me, like I
always the
said,
love
the healing
triangle.
healing for me is going to the movies. The bad part
Yeah.
is it's hard to go see a movie to go get healed now because I don't want to go pay to see a horror film.
Well,
I don't want
that's
to go to the
painful.
Limleys in North Hollywood and pay $18 for a movie. That was
It
ridiculous. That's
by
why
the time
people are
you're
Sometimes it's
doing
done,
like a little bit like
it's
more
$100
artificial
a
than like
person.
real. Oh yeah, true. And like the
By the time
cost
you're
of
done,
it
it's
is like
$100 a
ridiculous.
person. That's not
Yeah.
very healing. That's more
No.
stressful. But I was also gonna say
Yeah.
is, okay, you take the movies of old, like we were talking about, compared to movies today. So movies of old were healing. Like for somebody like me who had a horrific childhood, I turned to movies and TV shows for my role models.
Yeah,
Who are going to
what's
be
your
my role
movie?
models today? Well,
they're
Oh, you mute
you know
you
unmuted.
mute.
what a Taylor Swift or Beyonce. All those legends, all those legendary people have passed. Do you know the last 2 weeks we've lost 9 people?
Yeah.
If you include Sergio Mendes, John Almost from Good Times, remember him?
Oh yeah, loved him.
Frankie, Beverly Mays or Frankie, whatever. All these
I
people.
was
There's no
such a
more Tom Petty. There's
I
no
was
more Michael Jackson. They're
I know.
irreplaceable.
I
Mhm.
was such a Good Times fan that my father used to say to me, "Why do you always watch the black shows?" But
Well, 'cause
Because
it's like
because it was the
indifferent
only
as a
time to
kid.
educate people.
well,
Roots
Yeah.
is still the number one watched movie series of all time. Still,
number
Roots.
Amazing.
no doubt about it, 100%. And then to answer your question, Nicole, what's my movie? I would say my movie is Rocky. And the reason
Mm.
it's Rocky is because of two reasons. It serves two purposes. I think it's the most motivational story ever, even the real life story. And Sly Stallone, he lives like right by the studio. Like Juan could probably walk to his house from where he's at right now.
Even he
And
moved out of California. He lives in
yeah,
Florida now. They're all
yeah,
moved.
in Wellington, and so basically, but his story is very healing and inspirational. And see, those are things you don't have. There's so much nothing today in TV shows and movies. It's just a bunch of nothing,
Yeah.
fluff, ridiculous. The stuff my grandkids watch on their phones. I'm like, how is that entertaining them? But so you go back to Rocky, okay? So first of all, here's somebody that didn't have a chance in the world, okay, that becomes the heavyweight champion of the world, okay? And that's an inspiration for young people or people for anything, okay? That's an inspiration for healing because listen, if you think that you're going to be poor and in a bad neighborhood and not have what you want, that's that's going to give you not make you feel good. So if you have the hope that there's something better, but we have all these shows now that show a shit show all the time, and so like now this is what you have to look forward to. And then the love story, another thing that's different today. The love story between Rocky and Adrian is one for the times, man. And it's something that we don't have now. People go into stuff like that, and it's like they don't think of having that person and the way you could interact with that person. That's so healing to somebody like me who's been divorced twice to know that there is true love out there. You just have to find it, you know. But there's too many people that like go through what I went through and they think true love doesn't exist. And
yeah,
so,
I remember there's one movie that, sorry to cut you off there, but it kind of
no,
related
go.
because on the flip side, I remember when my parents were divorcing, and a movie that really resonated with me was Mrs. Doubtfire, you know, because they had like split, and oh man, I remember bawling my eyes out in the theater to that movie because I was like, it's me, like, like
Yeah.
but it was, there was like a wholesome, you know, a positive inspiration for it, even if you're going through something challenging and difficult. And it's to bring some comedy, that's what I love about comedy, is like they have a real gift of bringing the darkness of life into something that's like light and spacious, because you can get really stuck there. And the true healing, like, I mean, laughter is medicine for me, hands down. Like, Brian, I'm with you. Is what would I succumb my body and my energy to a horror movie for, when I could be laughing or feeling like inspired? But that's just me. Like, I know that there's some people that love that, like, that's their life, and maybe it doesn't affect them the same way. So we're all constitutionally a little bit different. So that's what's interesting about what movies grab our attention, because that
So
might say a lot
Nicole,
about somebody.
I have a very important question, Nicole.
Mhm.
Can you ask Brian? Don't tell him I told you to, though. Can you ask Brian how people can get
Yes.
more of the healing through movies by
Yeah.
watching a show?
Yes, Brian, please tell us how we can reach out to you, and where people can find you and get support from you, and all of the amazing things you share.
At Movie Reviews and More on Instagram. My LinkedIn is little profile is there, where we do well on there. Alignable, we have 80,000 views, Beverly Hills and around the world and counting. So I'm happy with all those things like that. But also on Tuesday nights, later tonight, 5 p.m. West Coast time, 8 p.m. Eastern, on Movie Reviews and More, we'll have Amberly Lago, one of the world's best speakers, on. She had 36 surgeries and almost lost her leg. She was riding her motorcycle, and out of no place, the SUV came and swiped her. And she almost lost her leg. She almost lost her life. And she'll be talking about that and what it's like to be redemption, but also coming back from the dead. And then you mentioned Rocky. Well, Rocky is also good for those people who want to be feature screenwriters till this day. He sold that. He could have sold that script for $250,000, and he held on to be the actor and eventually direct Rocky 2 and 3.
We wouldn't even know who he is today if he did not stick to his guns and sacrifice everything, just like Brian does for everybody out there that he works with, and everybody that watches his show, and everybody that comes on his show. And just like Nicole, because she is the language of healing. So now tell Juan what we have to do, Nicole.
Yeah, we're going to roll it to the Rocky outro.
But before, tell them when they have to tune in.
Tuesdays, 2 p.m. Eastern. See you next time. Yeah. Okay, roll it. Thank you.
Wow, what a show today. And the journey does not stop here. Come travel the world with Nicole every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, as together we become more fluent in the language of healing on W4WN Radio and Talk4 TV. See you next week.